Okay, now can you hear me? Yeah, I don't know, Kelsey. I thought the piano music seemed, the background music seemed to be a little bit soft. I'm not sure why. Um, okay, hopefully, you guys, yay, you can hear me now. Okay, so like I said, what? Thank you, honey. So Amanda is working on her story for the Magical Mystery Hour. She's working on that tonight, which that's going to be on Friday this week. I can't wait for that story. It's going to be awesome. Uh, but she has a lot to do on it. So, anyhow, so I'm on my own on OBS tonight, and it turns out that while my mixer was showing up white, thus not muted in one spot in the OBS window, it was grayed, thus muted in another spot. And I didn't know about that other spot. So, here we are. Amanda just came and rescued me. Now y'all can hear me. We're good. And make sure that my other camera view works before I really get going. There we go. Hello. All right. Kind of a teeny bit know what I'm doing, not really. So I hope you guys are doing well tonight. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving in a couple of days. I'm looking forward to cooking a turkey again for the first time in about a year. Because, yeah, I don't know why we don't cook turkeys more frequently. They're really good. Anyway. And obviously Dari is not on tonight. So yesterday I thought, hey, it might be fun if I just pop on and do a quick, fun little show. So tonight, what I have for you guys is stuff that I'm basically sight reading. So fair warning, this is all stuff that I started looking at yesterday, if I looked at it at all. I asked Amanda who she had any composer ideas as far as who I could play tonight. And she says, Mozart. And I said, well, I just played a bunch of Mozart. She says, okay. Handel. I'm like, no, Handel didn't really write keyboard music that much. And okay. And she says, Gounod. And I said, well, okay. He didn't really write much in the way of keyboard music either, as far as I know. Gounod was mostly orchestral and vocal composer. He wrote operas and symphonies and ballets and choruses and blah, blah, blah. Turns out, I did a little bit of research. He did write some piano music, and there are transcriptions of a number of other things. So I don't know what kind of pianist he was. I'm inclined to think he was decent. He probably wasn't a virtuoso the way Chopin or Beethoven or Brahms or Schumann or some of those guys were. Oh, good, Diana. I'm glad you tested negative. I just glanced over at the chat, and that's what I saw. Yeah, I know. Amanda's saying everybody is sick right now. It's go figure. It's winter. Everybody's indoors again. Yeah, stuff goes around. I mean, and we've forgotten, I think, in the last couple of years how everybody tends to get sick in October and November because kids are back in school, diseases are circulating again. Amanda and I, we're still wearing masks anywhere we go out in public, at least indoors. Outdoors, we're not worrying about it too much, but indoors, we're still masking. And knock on wood, neither one of us has gotten sick, and hopefully it stays that way. With anything, with flu or COVID or anything else, the colds, those are still going around. So, anywho, glad to hear it, Zach. So, okay, who else is here tonight? Angelica, Diana, Susan, hey, everybody. Zach, of course. Dave Hill, hello, hello. I saw my mom in the chat. She was one of the first people saying, no sound. To which I say, what? Let's see, anybody? Oh, hey, Kelsey. Nathan, how you doing? And, of course, Amanda. Hey, Amanda. Upstairs. Oops. Don't want to report anybody. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're sick, Diana. I know the holidays, there's never a fun time to be sick, but holidays especially, well, it's just no fun. I hope you're feeling better, though, by the time Thanksgiving Day itself rolls around. We still have a couple days, so fingers crossed you'll be feeling a little bit better by then. All right, so let's see, what do we have? We got a few pieces by Gounod here, and actually, let me really quick Wikipedia the guy, because he's not a piano composer, so he's not somebody I know a tremendous amount about, other than the fact that he was French and he lived in the 19th century. So According to Wikipedia, Charles Francois Gounod was born in 1818, died 1893. So he died about, I always put stuff relative to when this piano was built. He died 4 years after this piano was built. French, as I said. He wrote a bunch of operas. His best known are Faust and Romeo and Juliet. Tchaikovsky, in case you're thinking of, when you think of Romeo and Juliet, I always think of yada, yada, da, 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 dum. That's Tchaikovsky's overture. That is not an opera. So, Gounod wrote the opera Romeo and Juliet, which is still, I think, a widely performed opera, I believe, as is Faust. He wrote a lot of church music, a lot of shorter songs. There's a lot of piano and voice songs that he wrote. There's a lot of pieces that are for small instrument ensembles, piano and organ violin, for instance. So yeah, he was a fairly prolific composer too. Yeah, he is just one of those things where he's not been much on my radar because he didn't write a whole lot in the way of piano music. I kind of suspect that what he did write maybe was earlier in his life. I don't actually really know. One thing that doesn't help was that none of his stuff, as far as I can tell anyway, none of his stuff has opus numbers. There are catalog numbers, but those aren't necessarily chronological, so you don't really know just from looking at the title of a piece when he might have written it. If there were opus numbers, that's usually an indication. If it's a low opus number, it's published earlier in their life. If it's a high opus number, it's published later in their life. Chances are, if it was published later, it was written later. Not always the case, but usually. So anyhow, he was a very, very prolific vocal and orchestral composer, and we'll share some of his music tonight. A bunch of these are transcriptions. Actually, I think only 3 or 4 of these might be originally piano pieces, and there's another 3 or 4 that are transcriptions. I'm trying to figure out what to start with here. Yeah, I'll start with this one. This is called a adage, I suppose. It's a fragment de ballet, fragment of a ballet. I don't know if this was originally orchestral or what the idea was here. It is entirely possible. I mean, portions of it, the way it's written, kind of seem like they were maybe originally orchestral. Portions of it look more like piano music, so it's kind of hard to tell. But very pretty little piece. And we'll get started here with some music. So I'm going to switch the camera. There we are. And I'll mute this mic. I have to say all this stuff out loud because I'm not used to doing all of it myself. Is it? Okay, let me know if it's back. Well, because I'm muting them. Okay, let me. Oh, wait, hang on. I can just listen to my own headphones. Okay. Apparently, one of my microphones, I understand, is buzzing. I'm going to go steal a different cable because that worked last time. Hopefully it works this time. I'm going to go steal a different cable and hook it up using a different cable. I shall be right back. Lily, stop. Okay, I think that fixed it. I don't hear any buzzing in my headphones anymore. I'll give it a few seconds. Let me know once I unmute these mics. Actually, let's do it right now. Let me know if it starts buzzing again. Hopefully it won't. I don't know what the deal is with this other microphone cord. Maybe it's just a bad cord because it was buzzing last week, and then I figured out that if I moved it away from the power cord back here behind the computer, it stopped buzzing, and it still moved away from the power cord, but it's buzzing. I don't know. Anyhow, let's see. All right, here we go. That was called Adage or Adage. I'm not really sure how it's pronounced. I don't know if the title is French or if it's an English translation or anything about what the story behind it is. Yeah, don't know a thing about it, but it's pretty. Let's see, minimize that. There we are. All right, let's see. What should we do next? Do something a little peppier, which is kind of an odd thing to say considering the title of this next one. It's The Funeral March of a Marionette. This is one that I am guessing is, because there's like stage directions in here. Or maybe not stage directions, but just indications of what might be going on stage. So I don't know if this is from, well, heck, we got time. Let's Google this thing. Funeral March. I believe in being prepared for my shows, by the way. All we need is, all we need is Google, right? Let's see, what is the story behind this? It is a short piece by Gounod. Oh, it was originally written for solo piano. Okay. So this is actually a piano piece. This is not a transcription of anything. Apparently, it was the theme music for the TV show Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Didn't know that. Ah, okay, the title makes more sense now. So apparently when Gounod was living in London between 1871 and 1872, he started writing a suite, or a short collection of piano pieces that all kind of go together. He started writing a suite for piano called Suite Burlesque. After finishing Funeral March, apparently he abandoned the idea and never wrote anything else for what was once a planned suite. In 1879, so a number of years later, he orchestrated it. And apparently the marionette has died in a duel. The funeral procession commences, and then there's a central section depicting the mourners taking refreshments before returning to the funeral march. Because, nothing divvies up a good funeral march like the treats table, the dessert table. So anyhow, so that's what's going on in this, and you will hear a very clear difference between the funeral march procession portions and the mourners taking their refreshments. That middle portion, it'll be pretty obvious. There you go. It's a fun little piece. It's almost the first time I played it. I think that's the second or third time I played that piece. Yeah, but it's a really cute little piece though. It's almost serious, but not quite. Love it. Best contagion ever. Small child's belly laugh. Yes. Yes, indeed. Are we talking about the video of that Amanda showed me the other day of little Benjamin just busting a gut over who knows what? he sure thought something was funny. That was great. All right, let's see. What else? This is a fun piece. This one's a little more bombastic. This is one. If I can talk, excuse me. This one is Grand Waltz, big waltz, literally. This one's definitely a piano piece. I would say it probably has more in common with the salon waltzes of some of the lesser known composers from the 19th century. So, in other words, not somebody like Chopin. I mean, form-wise, yeah, this waltz kind of compares, but for me, it really makes me think more of waltzes by Strauss Jr., by Tchaikovsky, some of those composers, where it's kind of a concert piece. I mean, in terms of bombast, it is certainly a concert piece, but it lacks the complexity of a waltz by Chopin, or there are a few other composers who wrote kind of a similar style, perhaps, as Chopin. So yeah, I think it's an interesting piece from that perspective. It's much more, I think, indicative of the kind of stuff that people would play in their homes in the 19th century. Yeah, so this is Grand Valse. I don't know off. Let's see when he might have written this one. Grand Valse. Oh, oh, here we go. Because apparently there's a Grand Valse in his opera Faust, so of course that's what's coming up when you do a Google search. Looks like this was first published in 1891, so actually not that long before he died. Just a couple of years before he died. Now, that being said, it could easily have been written years or decades prior to that. That happened with a couple of Beethoven's piano sonatas, numbers 19 and 20. If you ever listen to Beethoven's sonatas, especially the ones from the late teens into the 20s, 19 and 20 stylistically really don't fit with the rest of them, and that's because they were written a couple decades earlier when Beethoven was much younger, much less developed as a composer, and a publisher apparently got hold of those two scores and decided to publish them. And I think Beethoven did not want them published because they weren't up to where he was at by that point in his life, but they got published anyway. So you get some stuff that's out of order sometimes. All right, so this is Grand Valse. This is one that I've played through a couple of times so far. I really like it. It's a lot of fun, so I hope you guys like it too. Oh my goodness. Lily. Come here, Lil. Come here. Lily. We're still trying to figure out if she hates the piano or if she likes it. We don't know. And I don't know why she's been quiet up until right then. Maybe. Maybe she's going for dramatic effect. I don't know. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's funny is that she does this. She, you know, and then like as soon as I look at her, usually, or say, or Lily, cut it out, she stops, and then she doesn't do it again. So I don't know what her deal is, but she's ever since. If you're watching the show, the Halloween shows where I played that Saint-Saëns piece, the Dance Macabre, but that one, that is the first one that she started howling at, and we thought it was maybe just that dissonance, you know, in those chords. But ever since then, she just started yowling at sometimes randomly. Just other stuff too. I mean, Amanda was looking something out on the piano earlier, looking at something earlier today, and Lily started yowling, even though she was playing as just something like that. It was nothing volume wise, you know. And yeah, Lily just felt compelled to join in. Apparently she went back to the. Apparently she went back to the family room. She came out here, said her piece, and gave me a look and walked away. Unluckily for her, I don't take hints. Oh dear. Oh, Amanda. Well, Amanda, you're going to have all day tomorrow and Thursday and most of the day Friday. So there's that. Oh, very good, Craig. Embarking on a new presentation. Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe I just need to have a Lily David duet. Problem is she doesn't howl at everything or all the time. Yeah, she's not consistent with it, but I guess you just got a little taste. Let's see. This is another piece. This is for piano originally by Gounod. This is called Impromptu. This is another one I played like twice, so bear with me here. All right, that was Impromptu by Charles Gounod. He was a good composer, don't Gounod. I just remembered that I'm supposed to do puns on this show too. I always forget. I get too absorbed in talking about the music. I don't know. Maybe I thought of a pun because for once I don't know that much about the music. All right. Let's see. What else do I got for you guys? Here's one by Bach. And there's a reason why I'm playing this one. So, one of Bach's most famous keyboard pieces was the first prelude out of a set of 24 preludes and fugues that he wrote. And he wrote these because around the time that he wrote them, people had finally started figuring out how to tune a keyboard instrument. Back then it was a clavier, which I think was related to a clavichord and a bit of a step up from a harpsichord. Harpsichords and to a certain extent, I think to a certain extent, clavichords are a little bit different from each other, but a harpsichord produced sound by, when you hit a key on a harpsichord, it would pluck the string, whereas a piano, for those of you who have ever seen the inside of a piano can attest, you hit a key on the piano and there's a hammer that strikes the string. And the major difference is that, well, aside from a whole host of other things, but one of the major differences is that a harpsichord doesn't produce as much sound, and you can't really change the sound. You hit the key, and it would pluck the string with a certain amount of force, and that's about all it would do. If you hit the key harder, it didn't pluck the string with any more force. If you hit it softer, it didn't, or more gently, it didn't hit it with any less force. So, if you hear either Baroque keyboard music, so stuff written in the early 1700s or so, whether it's solo keyboard music, actually one of Bach's Brandenburg concertos is a perfect example, the third Brandenburg concerto. One of the movements has a very lengthy keyboard solo in it, although the harpsichord is playing throughout the entire piece along with the rest of the orchestra. It was used very differently from later piano concertos. The goal was not to have the keyboard stand out anymore from the other instruments in those types of pieces. Anyhow, point is, harpsichord couldn't change the volume much. Early pianos, claviers started being built, and they were running into tuning problems. Let's see. I see we have a bot tonight. See if I can. Nope, it's not letting me. Oh, there we go. Okay, I just blocked it out of it may have only blocked it out of my chat. I don't know if it does it for everybody or not. Anyhow, where was I? Harpsichords and such, yes. So when it came to tuning, there's kind of a reason why if you hear pieces by Mozart, Haydn, Clementi, some of those classical composers from writing music in the 1760s, 1770s, there's a reason why you hear a lot of pieces like written in C major, D major, E major perhaps, sometimes E flat, but you don't hear G flat major much. You don't hear D flat major very much, and a couple of other keys. And that was because those keys on those early piano instruments didn't sound very good. And long roundabout way of getting to my point here, as usual. Bach wrote this, ended up writing two sets of 24 pieces each, entitled Well-Tempered Clavier, because it was about the time that they finally started figuring out, although it took still, I think, a number of decades to perfect it, but they finally started figuring out how to tune a keyboard instrument such that these kind of intervals sound good. If you go completely based on the frequency of sound, meaning there is a certain numerical difference in frequency between these two pitches, and you maintain that same difference all the way up, by the time you get an octave away from where you started, that note doesn't sound right. It is not a perfect octave away from where you started. And so what they realized, early piano tuners and builders realized they had to do, was they had to tune the keys so they were just slightly off from where, numerically speaking, from where they should have been. And that finally started to allow all those to sound the same and still maintain, the kind of chromaticism and everything. So Bach wrote the Well-Tempered Clavier he wrote one prelude and one fugue. They go together as a set. He wrote them in each of the major and minor keys. So starting off with C major, C minor, C sharp major, C sharp minor, D major, D minor, you get the idea. So one of his most famous keyboard works is the first prelude, not as much the fugue, but the first prelude from the first book, Well-Tempered Clavier. And that, after I spent probably about 3 times as long talking about it as it actually takes to play, again, about par for the course with me, I'm playing that first as bearing on what I will play next by Gounod. So this is the prelude number 1 in C major. There's a good chance you'll recognize it as a very famous piece of music by Johann Sebastian Bach. All right, so that was the prelude number 1 from Bach's first book of Well-Tempered Clavier. And what I'm about to play now is a transcription of Gounod's version. Now, Gounod wrote an Ave Maria. Oops. Come on, hello. There we go. He wrote an Ave Maria as the melody line, basically on top of what I just played. So in the original piece, which I believe it said was written for piano, organ, and violin, I think the organ just kind of provides general chords. The piano part is, and so forth. And then the violin has the melody line throughout. Obviously, I don't have an organ. Unfortunately, I would love to. And I don't have a violin. So consequently, you got to find a version of the piece that has been transcribed for piano. And there are a number of them out there. There's actually a lot out there. This is probably the single most famous piece that Charles Gounod wrote. Excuse me. So there are a lot of different arrangements out there of it. And as far as I know, like I said a minute ago, I think the original was an instrumental piece, so I don't think there's officially any Ave Maria text. The Ave Maria is actually a Latin prayer, so there's a specific Latin text that goes with it, and he certainly had that in mind when he was writing it, but it's not written in because it's instrumental anyway. Yeah, so this is I don't know the guy's first name, Schad, Schad, or Schott maybe if it's German. Is the guy's last name who transcribed this, and having played a few of these transcriptions, this one I thought was particularly good. It actually is the Ave Maria. It's twice in a row, but the second time he does some stuff with it, and he's moved things around into different octaves, which you'll hear. The Bach piece just kind of sits up here. You know, it gets down there a little bit, but not too much. This you'll hear will drop down lower. It just has a broader range. It was written with a modern piano in mind, as opposed to what Bach had. And yes, Diana, I like that the scam likely thing too. That's saved me from a few scam phone calls and a few work phone calls too. So it's doubly good. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. Your caller from Russia didn't leave a message, but I bet if you went to Alaska, you could see him from your backyard. Yeah, and Amanda got a voicemail from China. I've gotten a few of those too, where, and I think in Amanda's case, her phone never even rang. It was just suddenly, boop, there's a voicemail. Where did that come from? And then you listen to it, and it's somebody saying something in Chinese, and no idea, obviously for us, and no idea what they're saying. Other than it's probably the Chinese version of, we've been trying to reach you about your car warranty. All right. So without further ado, get it? Adieu? French word? Gounod? It's French? No, there's nothing there to get. This is the Ave Maria by Charles Gounod, written on top of the Prelude by Bach that I just played. And this is another one, I've been playing it since, last night. I've run through it just a couple of times, so hopefully I'll do okay. Yes, as Amanda pointed out, this is a very famous Ave Maria. This is either the first best known or second best known compared to Schubert's. And I'm not really sure which one is considered better known. They're both up there, which is funny when you consider the fact that Schubert's isn't actually an Ave Maria. Schubert's Ave Maria is actually a song about a nun who was singing an Ave Maria. It goes along with two other songs that collectively, I think one of them is called The Young Nun. There's The Young Nun, there's the Ave Maria, and there's, I forget what the name of the third one is. But there's three songs that, for piano and voice that depict the story of this particular nun. I've always found it funny that one of the most famous Ave Marias ever written is not actually an Ave Maria. It just starts off with those words. And yeah, Amanda, there might well be, maybe there is a vocal line to this. Let's see. Gounod. Yeah, but the copy of the score that I had, I think said it was for piano, organ, and violin, and the violin would have been playing that melody line.
It is. It's that That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently Gounod improvised the melody over the.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And
It's a
then,
mashup. It's Gounod and Bach.
well, that's what I was talking. That's why I played that piece by Bach
That's what I
because.
was asking in the beginning of this conversation because I heard you say that there's no words, and I was like, wait a minute. It's that's what I was asking.
No. There's a prelude by Bach. Gounod apparently improvised the melody line on top of that prelude and then turned it into an Ave Maria. I thought the original version, the written down version by Gounod, was.
He eventually put words to it. I was just looking at it.
Okay, I was talking about the original version of the piece. I think was for piano, organ, and violin.
But he did put the.
But he did. Okay, so he did put text in and turn it into a song. Okay. Yes. Now that we've gotten that cleared up, there's just a million different arrangements of that piece out there. But that, as far as piano arrangements go, I really like that one. It's much bigger, much fuller than I think the original piece is, and there is something to be said for that very delicate sound, which obviously that transcription I just played doesn't have. And there are other transcriptions that are lighter in that respect. So it's interesting actually when you get into the art of transcribing, and you're not copying a piece, you're adapting it to a different instrument or set of instruments. It's just, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it. Liszt was, when he transcribed, he tended to be very liberal with his transcriptions. He would add things to the music that weren't there in the original. He would take a section and just expand it into a much bigger thing than the original piece was, and typically it was quite well done. Or you can do a transcription just straight. You can literally just note for note. You can copy it out such that it can be played on a different instrument and not, as little as possible, alter the original and anything in between. So there's a lot of different sounds you can get when you are transcribing something. You can really alter the characters. Kind of like doing a cover of somebody else's song, as I've done on the Vaudacity network in the past, like that cover of the. I was gonna say Beastie Boys. That's not right. I was gonna say it was NSYNC. The cover of the NSYNC song "Bye Bye Bye." That's why I had B in my head. That's why I went to. My brain goes bye bye bye. It starts with a B, therefore it's Beastie Boys. This is why I stick to the 19th century. Yeah, I know the Beastie Boys. They're completely different from NSYNC. Anyhow, but the point is, what I did with that NSYNC cover, what plenty of other artists have done with their own covers of songs, same thing you can do with transcribing. There's just all kinds of possibilities that are opened up when you're doing that. All right, let's see. What time is it? It's 8:46. Maybe I'll, speaking of artisticness and stuff, maybe I'll improvise something. I've also wondered, this thought crossed my mind a little bit ago. I've been half wondering if Lily has started yowling at the piano because it's going out of tune. And I won't, you may have heard it, I can hear it. I'm going to need to call the piano tuner soon. So if you so desire and feel so moved and would like to donate to the Paymos and the Ven Pals that I think should be on the screen down here. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, yes, they are. Okay. If you'd like to make a donation, donations from tonight and probably next week are going to go straight into the fund for retuning this thing. It needs it. So given the fact that Lily has not yelled at the piano, I last had it tuned in May, I believe it was. So it's been about 6 months, 5.5, 6 months, something like that. So it's not surprising that it's starting to go out of tune, but I've been kind of wondering a little bit if Lily is maybe yowling at it because it's not quite in tune anymore. I don't know if it means she likes it or if she doesn't. We've Googled dogs howling with a piano. Can't find anything definitive. Could be one, could be the other, could be both, who knows. So yeah, let's do a little improv here and see what I come up with. Okay, don't know what that was. I never know where these things come from. Let's see. I've been gone for about an hour and a half now, right? Let's see. Palpitate Jeff. Yes, Christina. Yes, indeed. As long as he's not palpitating. Is that a word? Yeah. That's not a pleasant thought. All right, I'm trying to think of something I could perhaps end the evening with. I know. Since Amanda's very busy slaving away upstairs working on her story, and I know Paul is perhaps doing the same thing. I know that Paul's been not feeling great. So for both of them, I think we'll end it here. was here. I do love that piece. I have not. I don't remember the last time I played it. Probably the last time I played it was on one of these shows. It's been a while. All right. Before I forget, a couple things. First off, to avoid confusion, I have decided to move my show time to 8 p.m. starting next week. Obviously, tonight was still at 7:30. So starting next week, I'll go on at 8 p.m. to bring myself in line with everybody else who started doing 8 p.m. show starts. And does not mean I will necessarily have a shorter show. If anything, I might go longer. We'll see. And next week, thematically, I've got several days off, so I should be able to hopefully get prepped in time. I want to play Happy Beethoven. Now, so many times, we focus on his tragic pieces, his angry pieces, his sort of things that he wrote. There's a lot of stuff he wrote that has a very happy character to it too. So I thought that'd be fun to do a show of that. So join me next week, 8 p.m. right here on Vaudacity for Happy Beethoven, probably. I reserve the right to change my mind at the last minute, depending on how my practicing is going. All right, and then as far as promos go, so coming up, hey, I actually have the controls here, so I can see what you guys are seeing. So I'm not like shouting across the room. What does that say on the screen? So starting tomorrow night, we got a double header. First up, we have Amanda on Demanda at the special start time of 7 p.m. Send in your requests. I think she put a link on Facebook. So definitely look her up on Facebook and you should be able to find the link or post or whatever it was she put up for suggestions or requests. Songs about giving thanks, thank yous, gratitude, just any of those kinds of things, happiness even. Go ahead and make your requests and she will try and sing them. And she does an amazing job. If this is the first time watching Vaudacity, I know for most of you it isn't, but if it is your first time, check her out. She's incredible, and I'm not just saying that because I'm married to her. And I'm making facial expressions at the camera, which you guys can't see, and I just realized. All right, and then immediately after Amanda on Demanda, starting at 8 p.m., we've got our next Polly's Picnic. And I believe thematically this is going to be similar to Thanksgiving edition. So it's songs, musical performances, what have you, giving thanks, family, etc. It's going to be a really great show. I'm very much looking forward to it. I myself am planning on playing a piece by George Winston called Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorites by George Winston. I don't think Paul has done a show schedule yet, an internal one that he sends out to the performers. So I don't know exactly when I'll be on that evening, but join us. That is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Then coming up on Friday. Now I will say this: I don't know that Hunter Ackerman is doing a Lovecast this Thursday. Haven't heard anything one way or the other. At this point, I'm planning on him not, but maybe he is. So keep an eye out on your YouTubes if you're subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And subscribe, look up Vaudacity Network and subscribe to that. Look up Hunter Ackerman's Lovecast, subscribe to that. You'll get the notifications. It's great. Coming up on Friday, this is the podcast graphic. The next Magical Mystery Hour is coming up on Friday with Paul and Amanda. This will be a live cast on YouTube. Unlike what the graphic here says, this is for the podcast version of the show, but this will be the live cast on YouTube Friday. Amanda, if you can hear me, do you know what time? Okay, they're on at 9 p.m. Oh. Oop, that didn't do anything. Oh, yes, I do. Here we go. There it is. All right. Look at me learning OBS. You still can't see me. I'm sitting here dancing. All right, here we go. True crime. I am so looking forward to Amanda's story. I don't know what Paul's story is going to be. Otherwise, I'm sure I'd be looking forward to it too. I mean, I am. Don't get me wrong. But I'm really looking forward to Amanda's, hearing what she does with it. This is what she's got 40 pages of notes on. This is a sprawlingly complex story. And yeah, it's going to be, knowing the majority of it now, it's going to be interesting to see what she has to maybe not leave out, but kind of gloss over. Yeah, there's a lot of details, and part of what makes it such a juicy story is you don't know which ones are relevant, which ones aren't. You can go all kinds of directions with it. So anyhow, so join us Friday night, 9 p.m. Prime, day after Thanksgiving, shopping coma, food coma time, and just sit back and enjoy an evening with Paul and Amanda on Magical Mystery Hour. And especially join because I wrote the theme music for it, and I think it's pretty cool. So, there you go. Then, coming up next year, at the end of March, early April, Polly's Picnic on a Cruise, featuring all of the performers that you see on your screen in front of you. If you are interested in getting tickets to the cruise, I highly recommend it. The one we went on this past year back in April was a lot of fun. I believe this is going to be the same cruise again, from LA to Ensenada and back. It was a really great time with wonderful, wonderful people, both in the audience and in the performers. So definitely join us for that. You can contact Anna Gianavola, Christina Beelan, or Dari Mills if you are interested in going. They can hook you up with tickets. All right, as far as graphics go, I think that is all I've got for upcoming shows. So thanks again for joining me tonight. Get the cursor off the screen there. For joining me tonight. This is just kind of a fun little pop-up show since Daria wasn't going to be on. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable. I get to play some new stuff I've never really looked at before yesterday. And then next week, like I said, we'll be to it. Oh, thank you, Susan. Amanda just shouted down that I got a super chat from Susan. Thank you so much, Susan. I very much appreciate it. And like I said, that is going directly into the fund to retune this thing. I'm probably going to call the piano tuner. Might even call him tomorrow. I don't know if he can come out, if he'll be able to come out next week sometime. But yeah, we're hitting a point where, like, in particular, that note is just a bit flat, and it's there's a few others too that are like, ugh. every time I hit it, oh god. So yeah, I can't wait to get this thing tuned again. It really, I mean, for a piano that's 134 years old, it holds its tune remarkably well. Last year it held tune from May of 2021 to May of 2022, and we'll held tune a little bit quicker this year. But it's a good piano. All right. Thanks again for joining me tonight, everybody. And I will see you guys tomorrow night in the chat for Amanda's show, and then afterwards at Polly's online variety show. And then we'll see you again on Friday for Magical Mystery Hour. Good night.